Hello everybody. So over the last several videos we have been looking at graphing linear equations or linear functions. Over the next several videos we will be looking at writing linear equations. So actually writing them out. And most likely we will be doing slope-intercept form. So if you remember, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Or we could also see it written as f of x equals mx plus b. Remember, f of x and y, those are the same thing. So remember what these different parts mean. B, that's my y-intercept, or that's the coordinates 0, comma, y. That's where we begin graphing. So that's where we start. The m is my slope, which we find by subtracting the y's over subtracting the x's. Or it's also, remember the phrase rise over run. Goes with that, run. Okay? And that is how you move from point to point on your graph. So just recall slope-intercept form. That's our most common way of seeing these equations and graphing them and also writing them. So in the next example, write an equation in slope-intercept form given the graph. So if I want to write it in slope-intercept form, I basically want to fill out the skeleton y equals what times x plus what. I got to find both the m and the b. So if I find m and b is probably going to be the easiest to start with because that's our y-intercept. So identify that y-intercept. That y-intercept value is 0, comma, negative 3. The y is going to be negative 3, so that's my b value. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to identify another point on that line. Looks like the next nice point is going to be 2, comma, 1. And so to move, to get to that point, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go up 4. I'm going to rise 4. I'm going to run 1, 2, positive 2. So if I simplify that slope, that's going to give me a slope of 2. So now I take those values and I plug them into the skeleton or the framework for slope-intercept form. So I got y equals 2x plus negative 3. If I simplify that, I'm just going to get y equals 2x minus 3. All right, so that's how we write slope-intercept form. Given a graph, go ahead and practice that on the graph to the right. Okay, so check your work there. Make sure your slope is negative because that line is decreasing. It's going downhill. You should get y equals negative 1/2 x plus 2. Okay, so the next concept is writing an equation given the slope and the y-intercept. So these should be pretty quick if you're given the y-intercept as your point, because you'll see in this first example, I have a slope of 1/4 and a y-intercept of negative 1. So if I just fill this out, y equals mx, the m is your slope, so that's going to be 1/4, then your x plus b, but your b value is negative 1, so it's going to be 1/4 x minus 1. So remember your y-intercept here, that's your b value, your slope is your m value, and you're trying to get this into y equals mx plus b. So now that I've done that, I got y equals 1/4 x minus 1. Let's practice our graphing. So where do I start? I start at b, my b value, which is negative 1. And I'm going to go, how I'm going to move, I'm going to go up 1 to the right 4, up 1 to the right 4, or I can go down 1 to the left 4, down 1 to the left 4. And then all I need to do is connect the dots and create this increasing line because I got a positive slope. Okay, so try that out on that next one. Alrighty, check your work on that practice problem. Y equals negative 2x plus 7. Make sure your graph looks good. That's going to wrap it up for this video. In the next one, we will practice a little bit more challenging questions, like what if you're not given the y-intercept?